current application of education in virtual worlds. There are many virtual applications that exist for the purpose of education. Virtual applications are software that enables users to interact in present times without meeting face to face, therefore meeting virtually. Virtual applications bridge the gap between innovation and learning. The use of virtual worlds can give teachers the opportunity to have a greater level of student participation. The remainder of the podcast will focus on how virtual applications enhance education. The current applications of education in virtual worlds are as follows. Virtual campuses and classrooms can be used to hold lectures and tutorials online, especially with extended students. Educators use virtual world capabilities in Second Life as a meeting space for students and to focus on learning resources, which enables embedded videos, illustrations, ebooks, or 3D models to be part of a lecture. Language learning. Virtual worlds are especially popular for practicing language skills. For example, the wide variety of replica places in Second Life offers opportunities for language learning through virtual tourism. Students can engage in conversation with native speakers or even learn how to use Second Life in a different language other than English. Technical training in a virtual environment puts students in a realistic computer-generated environment where they can interact with others, tour, and operate equipment. A virtual scenario might enable students to practice potentially dangerous activities in a safe environment. Safety-focused learning. This becomes useful to see if students are ready to perform dangerous activities that can be life-threatening, such as traumas and evacuation trainings. Virtual trips and simulating experiences. Students are exposed to a variety of geographic locations in an inexpensive and convenient method, like taking a trip to Mount Everest or experiencing a world not found in reality. Communication scenarios. Virtual worlds can be used to bridge gaps in education. For example, part-time students can meet virtually with their classmates in Second Life or Minecraft. This can also help distance learning students not feel so isolated.
The usage of virtual worlds in an educational context has grown dramatically in recent times. In order to properly understand this trend, it is often useful to articulate the benefits as well as the drawbacks that are derived from using virtual worlds as an educational platform. The first and foremost advantage of virtual worlds is their ability to aggregate a platform which can be accessed instantaneously from remote locations. This is especially advantageous to part-time students who do not have the luxury of attending lectures on a full-time basis. Closely related to this is the concept of real-time learning, which is essentially the ability of virtual worlds to foster synchronous communication between learning institutions and the students in a timely fashion. Another advantage of virtual worlds arises from the unique experience that it delivers to their end users. From an educational point of view, this could imply more productive learning about concepts that could not be properly understood in a real-life setting. An example of this would include the simulation of clinical conditions such as psychosis and paralysis, so as to induce a proper understanding of the symptoms of these conditions amongst medical students. Whilst it is evident that virtual worlds provide distinct advantages to learning institutions, there are also certain drawbacks associated with its adoption. The fact that virtual worlds essentially require access to computing facilities implies that there will always be a certain percentage of students who will indefinitely be unable to access the platform. It is also worthwhile mentioning that a correlation exists between virtual world usage and behavioral patterns. Studies suggest that increased usage of virtual platforms results in students exhibiting antisocial behavior in real-life situations. This can negatively impact face-to-face learning contexts that require active participation among students. From an anatomy point of view, gazing at a computer screen for extended periods of time has been known to cause physical conditions such as impaired vision and nerve damage, as well as psychological conditions such as decreases in attention span, amongst other things.
Virtual worlds has helped to stretch the boundaries of learning capabilities and techniques. One of the key underlying points of virtual worlds in an educational context is how interactive the user is within the world itself. It is known that practice makes perfect, and the only way of gaining knowledge is to engage in the activities presented so that the full value of the exercise is extracted from the learning scenarios. Not every student would have been exposed to technology and how to use it. Thus, this complexity of virtual worlds is required to be set at an optimal level for all users to be able to comfortably interact with the world at their own pace. This will improve the popularity of virtual worlds and its understanding. The role of a teacher now becomes a facilitator, as there is no one available to assist with solutions, but rather provide insightful methods of working towards the problem. Virtual worlds are a preferred method as they are more cost-effective and less cumbersome than immersive virtual reality. More users can have access to a desktop in virtual worlds without the requirement of bulky equipment. Worlds must build users' knowledge and learning capabilities through interaction and construction rather than by accommodation as with traditional instructions. Activities are handled more independently, strengthening or clearing the perception on a certain topic. In order for an educator to create an effective scenario for learning in virtual worlds, the educator must take into account the following. Plan, in terms of the hardware and software requirements, the virtual reality capabilities, and the technological competence level of the student. Analysis is done in terms of determining what material is to be studied and how learning will take place in a virtual environment. Design involves developing an environment of learning in the virtual world. The design should be simple yet provide challenges. Development, different virtual worlds have different modification capabilities, and an educator must choose a world appropriate for these conditions. Implementation involves putting our plan into action. However, testing must occur prior as to negate any faults and/or errors. Finally, evaluation, pre- and post-test should be used to specify if a user has benefited from this learning experience.